Hello and welcome to another update video about Cardano. In this video we're going to take a look at the Cardano price, also the Bitcoin price, and the Bitcoin price has moved up quite a bit in the last hour, I guess. And yeah, also Ethereum is climbing higher. Unfortunately, we can't just see it in the Cardano price just yet, and we're going to have a talk about that. Before we start, there have been a few exciting news being announced today. One is Cardano, that it hits the major milestone of over 2 million wallets. So that's massive actually, shows just Cardano's growth. And what is interesting here, the number of ADA wallets has surged 2x compared to May 2021, which means that in May we had 1 million wallets. Now we have over 2 million ADA wallets. That is huge. That is, oops, I clicked on Twitter there. That is huge, that is big, and that just shows the growth of Cardano. And also yesterday, or was it this morning, I showed you another two projects that are being built on the Cardano blockchain, exciting projects, and there's also been announced one more thing today. So I think, the news, there are more and more news now. I mean, I've been tracking the news for the last few weeks and months, and actually there have never been that many interesting news about new projects than at the moment, like in the last couple of weeks. So in my view, now what they have announced, and that has come out today, that blockchain firm Guild 1 is leveraging the sustainable Cardano network, which is great because Cardano has been called one of the most eco-friendly networks anyway, to pioneer carbon credits backed by Validator's energy data analytics platform. So basically what they use, they have issued their first series of voluntary carbon credits on the Cardano network as digital tokens. Each token represents a ton of carbon saved from emission through underground storage. So, carbon credits and just environmental friendliness is getting more and more important anyway. And I think Cardano space is the ideal space or ecosystem for that, to really look into eco-friendly applications and things like carbon credits. Everything has to do with basically eco-friendliness, because Cardano itself is quite an eco-friendly platform. So that works really well. And that's just another bit of news where more and more adoption will be achieved of the Cardano blockchain. So that's great. That will also increase the use of ADA and will just make it more and more interesting in the future. So, more and more is being built on Cardano. I find it really exciting. And as soon as you really see the first major ones come out very shortly, I mean, talk about possibly also Sunday Swap coming out this year, we will see more and more interest. So the news I expect will go up, will be more and more bullish in the next few weeks as well, also from a fundamental point of view. But to be honest, it has never looked that good fundamentally for Cardano. Let's talk about Bitcoin briefly. Bitcoin moved out of that triangle just an hour ago or so, or a few hours ago. So we are now hitting exactly that trend line, that horizontal resistance line that I had on the chart of around 63.3k. I mentioned that previously in a video. It is exactly here we found the stop, and that is basically because this is where we had, and if you're wondering why we had a lot of peaks here above this trend line, above this horizontal one, well, I think that was drawn on either the daily or the 4-hour chart. So what you see, these peaks here on the 1-hour chart, these are actually wicks on the daily or on the 4-hour chart. But what we can see is that we peaked just above this horizontal resistance line. We've come back, we're consolidating below that resistance line. And I did say, I talked about that ABC correction of Bitcoin, where we had, and I've mentioned, I called it up here, and we said, ABC, we came down. Well, essentially that was then the C here. And we weren't quite sure, were we now moving up again? Did we found the low? And I wasn't quite sure in this triangle if we maintain to stay above the triangle, and if we cannot get above the 63k, for me, that is increasingly bullish. Then it invalidates sort of then this ABC pattern down here. Also, what we can see is an inverse head and shoulder with a neckline exactly where we are now. So my view is if we break above that line, we can go up very, very quickly and follow Ethereum on its way potentially to new all-time highs. So that is really looking good here for Bitcoin at the moment. Of course, a bit early to tell because we're currently consolidating below that trend line, but it's looking good because this could be something here like a bull flag playing out. I mean, we are only on the 1-hour chart, but that could become here really something like a bull flag with maybe a slight descending channel. But yeah, it's looking good for Bitcoin at the moment. So yeah, I mean, talking about this here potentially being a slightly descending channel after that 2-3% move to the upside here, and that could be then that continuation to the to the upside. What we see here on the hourly, I mean, looking good for Bitcoin. MACD is going up, you know, not even overbought on the RSI. There is more scope to the upside on the hourly, and I guess here on the longer term ones like the 4 hour, yeah, of course we have more scope to the upside. We actually had a buy signal here today on the 4 hour. Let's take a look how the daily is looking like. And yeah, that positions us comfortably now above the 20-day moving average as well. Now here you can see the RSI is definitely not overbought on the daily. We are at around 60, yeah, a little bit higher than 60. And the MACD that you can see here is losing steam on the, you know, basically the selling pressure is losing steam, and we are getting closer to the zero line again, and we'll potentially get a buy signal here soon in the next few days. So you can see that actually where we are heading towards the zero line. That's looking good. ADA USD, however, ADA didn't follow. You could argue that potentially ADA wasn't even disturbed while sleeping. However, it is moving up a little bit, yeah, potentially even out of that triangle at the moment. Don't really see a major breakout here at the moment, but what you can see is potentially that first candle being closing above this triangle. I think that would be quite important to note actually, which doesn't show yet, you know, it doesn't mean we wouldn't break back in, but yeah, we have moved now out of this triangle as it seems, and we're holding above it at the moment. So we already had a 1 hour candle close above that triangle, and now the second one, and maybe we will climb up from here and follow Bitcoin. But to be honest, I would have expected, because we could see it on the ADA BTC chart, and we'll go into take a look at the ADA BTC in a minute, that ADA was starting to follow Bitcoin now more closely. So I would have expected like a 3% then as well, or maybe a little bit more, but you can't see it yet. ADA on the 4 hour doesn't look too bad here. Actually have the histogram of the MACD in the green. We haven't crossed the zero line yet of the MACD, but down here we have made a turnaround, which was positive on the 4 hour. And of course here on the 4 hour, we are currently yeah, not yet above 50, still in the bearish range, but we are moving up. If we get above 50, maybe that could give us a little bit of a boost here on the 4 hour chart. But I think we had here on the daily really this important breakout point that I have mentioned so many times, and we want to see that broken here. It's basically here on the daily, the 50 level, you can see it. With ADA, normally you're either above 50 or below. You don't really find the space in between. Can you see that here on the RSI on the daily? You don't normally find the space between, which also confirms what we've been saying all the time, that either you have these long periods where nothing happens with Cardano, where we then below the 50 line on the RSI, or you get these very, very short peaks that don't take very long, but you ramp up massively on the RSI, and then you drop again below the RSI on the below the 50 line. And then the 50 line, and you can see that here on the daily, the 50 line is basically a resistance level, right? A very objective resistance level on the RSI. And as soon as we break that to the upside, that is the moment when I think we will really, really see new all-time highs. That has been like that historically. Whenever you have broken it, we've really come to new all-time highs, at least most of the time, and that would be a really, really bullish indicator if we can break the 50 line on the daily. That is what I'm waiting for. Until then, yeah, we are sort of still down here, obviously. If we go back to the 1 hour chart, I still think it is a possible scenario that we drop once more lower, but with Bitcoin going up, that becomes less likely. If we go up here, however, what I would want to see is really a move above $2.10 first. That is for me like a critical level, $2.10, and then we need to get above that 232 level where we had a lot of resistance before, which is actually close to that. It's actually up here now because that triangle is going down all the time. But yeah, that level here, that horizontal, that is kind of will be an acceleration to the upside. But then already we've made quite a lot of moves, you know, so anything really that pushes us up above $2 at this stage will be positive. But then we have already been here at $2.05 and since dropped again. So yeah, $2.10, that's why I say that. It's also above all these lows here that you had here along the way across the triangle. So $2.10 for me is really like a magic mark at the moment that we need to get through to continue our way to the upside. Also $2.10 because the 20-day moving average is here. That is exactly at that line, so that would help us also to push further to the upside. So that is ADA USD, and then quickly ADA BTC. It is going down at the moment because Bitcoin made a move of like 3 to 4%, ADA only like 1% to the upside. So it is actually dropping further, and we are getting close to that last support level that I had. I think I mentioned it this morning, this previous low here. So I mean, that is like the last main support before we really drop further. I hope we will find support here, but at the moment I'm just tracking it, making you aware here that that could still be at play, that if we don't find real support here, we will drop further. However, and I've mentioned it a few times now, I mean, we see these bullish divergences coming up here on the ADA BTC chart. And let me just open the RSI up. You can see the bullish divergence here. It's not a massive one, but you can see it from that high, from that low to that low. It's not massive, so it's not, you know, a major indicator here on the daily. But you can start to see it now on the daily, because we started already to see it on the 4-hour chart here very, very clearly, while we are making lower lows on the RSI, on the price. You can actually very clearly see here that we have continuously now been making higher lows on the RSI, really for a longer period now, and pretty much actually for a month now on the 4-hour chart. We've been making higher lows on the RSI, which is actually quite bullish. It's bullish divergence, indicating that the downward pressure is reducing, that the downward trend is reducing, and that we're getting close to a turnaround here on the ADA BTC chart. Well, what does that mean? That means that at this point, Cardano will outperform Bitcoin, and it has done that all the time in the past. There were long periods when nothing happens. That is when the haters are coming out. I know there will be a lot of hate comments in this video, people who probably don't even watch the video, but you always get this turnaround. And I don't say where people think it's different this time. It's always happened. Yeah, there have always been these periods where Cardano was outperformed by Bitcoin, and then you had the turnarounds. And as I said, the short peaks where Cardano outperformed Bitcoin, but massively. Yeah, so I just want to highlight that and mention it. Hope you liked that video. If you did, please smash the like button. And if you want to follow me on this crypto journey, please subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.